The Earth will be swept by unusual cosmic superwaves. This is Denoff prophecy. Peter Denoff lived between July 11, 1864 to December 27, 1944. He was a Bulgarian spiritual teacher, founder of the School of Esoteric Christianity. He was born July 11, 1864 near Suvorono, about 60 kilometers from Varna. On February 24, 1922, Peter Deunov opened an occult school in Sofia, Bulgaria called the University White Brotherhood. At his request, one of his followers, Omram Michael Ivanov, settled in France July 1937, where 10 years later, in 1947, he created the French branch of the Universal White Brotherhood. Peter Deunov defines it as follows: the great Universal White Brotherhood is not something visible. It's neither a church nor a sect. It is an entity that exists outside the corrupt conditions under which the common world lives. And the origin of this name comes from a concept developed in the theosophical circles of Helena Blavatsky, who stated that her teachers were the wise masters of the Mahatmas who reside in Tibet or Shambhala and constitute the Great White Lodge, the Great White Brotherhood, that of the Mahatmas. Mystical movement, the Union in White, describing the report of the Parliamentary Committee on Heresies in France, 1995, as the mystical movement, a movement of spiritual initiation that proposes a comparative esotericism based on the recognition of the powers of Christ, the solar forces, the laws of karma, and spiritual initiation. According to this report, there were between 500 and 2,000 members. Prophecy of the Bulgarian mystic Peter Deunov predicts the coming superwave 39 years before the theory was first formulated. A few days before his death, December 27, 1944, the well-known Bulgarian mystic Peter Deunov had a vision that inspired him to write a prophecy about what lay ahead for the human race in the century that was to follow. Deunov, known in Bulgaria by his spiritual name Bensa Duno, was a philosopher, musician, spiritual teacher who developed a form of Christian apocrypha. Curiously, in the prophecy he recorded in great detail the meaning of the tidal wave, which he predicted was to cleanse the earth in the near future and not only bring about a massive geological transformation, but also spiritual change in the world, bringing into operation a new human race as the sixth race, he said. Peter Deunov begins his prophecy with a precise reference to an imminent arrival of a galactic superwave, and he declares, quote, "All will soon submit to the divine fire, which will purify and prepare in relation to the new age. A few decades will pass before the fire comes that will transform the world, bringing the new ethos. This huge wave is coming from cosmic space and will overwhelm the whole earth. All those who try to oppose it will be cured and transferred elsewhere." Despite the fact that the inhabitants of this planet are not all at the same level of evolution, the new wave will be felt by each of us, and this transformation will not only touch the earth, but the entirety of the entire universe, end quote. Later, it refers to terrestrial rearrangement that brings about huge climactic and seismic actions, and he declares, "There will be floods, hurricanes, giant fires, and earthquakes that will sweep away everything. Blood will flow profusely, there will be revolutions, and terrible explosions will result in many regions of the earth. Where there is land, water will come, and where there is water, land will come." He further refers to waves of cosmic electricity, cosmic electron rays, and will sweep the earth. Indeed, the main component of the superwave will be the cosmic electrons of its rays. And here it shows continuous homobrony. Quote, "The earth will soon be swept by extraordinary rapid waves of cosmic electricity. A few decades from now, beings who are evil and will deceive others will not be able to support their intensity," end quote. Deunov also mentions that our solar system is currently passing through a sickly, dusty region of contaminated space called the 13th zone, left behind by the destruction of a constellation or a star. He said our solar system is now traversing a region of the universe where a destroyed constellation has left its mark with the dust. This crossing of a contaminated space is a source of poisoning not only for the inhabitants of the Earth, but also for all the inhabitants of the other planets of our galaxy. The suns are not only affected by the effect of this hostile environment. This area is called the 13th zone. He calls it the zone of contrasts. Our planet was inside it in the region for 1,000 years, but finally we are nearing the exit from this area of darkness, and we are on the point of reaching a more spiritual region where more evolved beings live. Indeed, just as he says in his prophecies, our solar system has for a long time, perhaps for at least 3 million years, passed through a rim of North Polar Spur, a remnant of a supernova, a cloud of dust and gas to the left of the explosion of the body millions of years ago. Astronomers recognize the presence of dust clouds even in contact with the edge of our solar system. Also, most of the large comets in the early solar system, which many claim originate in the Oort cloud, are actually part of this interstellar debris field and enter due to the passage of the sun through its zone with the debris. According to the superwave theory, advanced in 1983, the presence of this close to the dust belt is responsible for the fact that the Earth has gone through a series of ice changes over the past 3 million years. For millions of years before that time, we had no ice ages because we had not entered this dusty zone. For more information, consult my PhD thesis, and read my book, Earth Under Fire. And he goes on to say, just as Denoff mentions, this dusty region poses a danger to many solar systems in our galactic neighborhood. The NPS supernova remnant is believed to be located approximately 400 to 200 light years away from our solar system and 370 light years in diameter, thus affecting hundreds of thousands of star systems. His claim that it is a source of poisoning is also verified by my own research of the polar ice caps, as I have described in my report recently published in Advances in Space Research. Over the past 100,000 years, our planet has been continuously inundated with rich particles of interstellar dust. One such particularly dangerous event, which occurred about 49,000 years ago, caused a 100,000-fold increase in the rate of cosmic dust influx, producing a global climate cooling and increased lead levels in rainwater 10 times higher than the maximum hazard limit for EPA health. These tin-rich dust particles still enter our stratosphere in small amounts, and according to a research team led by Dr. Abbott of Lamont Doherty, an influx of tin and nickel-rich dust occurred as recently as 536 AD, causing a moderate climactic cooling and shading of the sun for a year or two. Denoff's prediction is that we are ready to leave this danger zone, and it's welcome news indeed. What is really quite amazing is that Peter Denoff had this vision back in 1944, long before all that was known about active galaxies and galactic core explosions. Most research into quasars and emitted cosmic ray nuclear explosions began in the 1960s, even as late as the 70s. Not all astronomers are convinced that the core of the galaxy has previously undergone nuclear explosions. Indeed, such background astronomical information was essential to my own formulation of the galactic superwave theory, although in my case I was led to seek evidence to formulate this theory based on a time capsule message encoded in our own constellation of knowledge sent to us by a prehistoric civilization. A message relayed by pulsars also helped lead me to this idea. I had no knowledge at the time of the Denoff prophecy or the interpretation of the Fatima prophecy, which also conveyed the relevant information about Stanford rays. Also, Denoff's prophecy predated what was later discovered about the shift of the North Pole and the presence of interstellar clouds near the solar system. The astronomical observations that had been made clearly confirmed what was mentioned in the Denoff prophecy. The Denoff prophecy also goes into very interesting detail about the evolution of humanity through this event, how it will affect the consciousness of people, and what will be the spiritual characteristics of its coming to the inhabitants of the earth that will survive this event. Alternatively, for summary, one can watch a video the narratives of a slice of D's life, Denoff's life, and recounts moments of the tidal wave of prophecy and the transformation of man. So what does this all mean? Always your judgment and conclusions. And it's very interesting to note that these prophecies were made before the scientists actually discovered all these cosmic waves. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.